Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, April 24th, just after 8:30. Let's get started. Okay, so let's take a look at the news coming out for today. Get myself caught up here. And for today, let's see. Nothing at 8:30. We have a Fed member speaking at 11:30 and another at 3:15. Nothing that should really force choppiness. That's not to say that we can't have it, but doesn't look like there's anything we should be waiting on to get us all too excited. All right, let's take a look at last night's trading. Adjust our levels here. Okay. So let's move this down. I'll need that in a minute. VPOC. Friday's value area high. Let's move this to overnight low. Overnight VPOC. Overnight high. And I think I still need, I just got to move my value area low down. All right, value area low coincides with Friday's low. And let's take a look at what the trading looked like overnight. So here is the close from Friday. This area right here. You can see starting overnight. Now overnight is going to be from this vertical line. So everything beyond that. We are 100% in that long. We have corrected quite a bit of it coming back down towards the close. But all trading with 100% of trading took place above Friday's close overnight. We are also opening inside Friday's value area, so we'll keep an eye on when we do our homeworks. Okay, so let's go over to the hourly chart. And we are currently trading at 49.81. So let's center that and give ourselves a little bit of space on each side. All right, so we'll use this. Let's scrunch this down. I believe we have entered back. Yes, we have. We've entered back into this micro composite. We can see how we traversed down to the bottom of this distribution right here. See that little low volume node in there? This low volume node there. We traversed down there. We tested that. That held as support. And we turned our way back up, but staying inside this micro composite. So let's take a look at our initial hypothesis. Remember, we are currently at 49.81, so we'll use that as our starting point here, or just about that. Okay. So inside yesterday's value, inside yesterday's range, we're going to do hypo 1 as a test of overnight VPOC, value area high. And you know what? Sorry, before we do this, let's get rid of any levels that we breached on Friday. So here we just pushed through to the downside, never retested, pushed through to the downside. So we actually don't have any levels to take out, but we should have some to add. We have the high from Friday, and Friday we opened and went straight down. We had a little bounce at the end of the day, but it was just a straight move down right off the open. And here is Friday's low. Okay, getting back to our hypothesis. So open, get through overnight VPOC, get through this former swing, get to value area low, through value area low. Hang on a second, guys. Something seems to be missing on my chart here. Where? Oh, right. I turned off my profiles yesterday. I was showing something to some new folks, some friends that are also going to start learning trading. So, okay, back at it. 49.81. Let's begin. So, open, push through overnight VPOC, test value area high, break value area high, test overnight high, break overnight high, and ultimately make a run to test way up here. We're going to use that as hypo 1. This naked VPOC up here that we see, we'll use that as hypo 1. And then, of course, if we do get there, we'll have to reevaluate and see if this form of VPOC holds as resistance, or if we can break above it and then it turns into support. But we'll watch that if that happens. So that's going to be hypo 1. Let me just say that. Okay. Hypo 2 is going to be a push up, but here we're going to fail. Let's look for potential failure at one of a few spots. Value area high from Friday, overnight high from today. Fail, turn down, come and test Friday's VPOC, overnight low, get below it, have it retest from underneath, hold its resistance, and then ultimately come and push down into this VPOC, this microcomposite VPOC. I think if we do form this type of action, I think we will ultimately make our way down towards the value area low from Friday, which coincides with the bottom end of this distribution here. If we can get through that, well, for now we're going to leave this as hypo 2, and then we'll my next hypo will discuss getting through that. Push down, immediately test Friday's VPOC, break below, have it hold as resistance, then come through microcomposite VPOC, push down to Friday's value area low. Now, if we see some type of repeat of Friday where we open and go straight down, I think where we would ultimately get ourselves down to is down in this area. Sorry, not sure how that happened. I think ultimately we would make an attempt to come to this microcomposite VPOC from earlier. This is not a very well traded area, right? So there's a kind of a lowish volume in here. You know, we can see this. Okay, we can see this peak here, and we can see, without me scrunching the chart anymore, we can see this peak here. So this is going to be hypo 3. Remember, see, when you have this low volume type area here, generally when you go through low volume areas, you tend to move through them quickly. So this is not really low, as we've seen in some of the former VPOCs, of some of the former microcomposites, but it's lower than these two peaks here. So these two peaks, and even this little one in the middle, which is where I'm setting my goal, even this little one in the middle, they really seem to me as if they would try to pull price to them if we can get through this microcomposite VPOC. It really seems to me, it looks to me as if we would try to pull price down to this microcomposite VPOC. So that's hypo 3. All right, that's going to be it for oil this morning. Okay. Let's close this. Sorry if you hear some noise in the background. That's my. Okay, so let me just check one thing. What time we have? 8:40. Oh, plenty of time. Plenty of time. Let's take a look at the S&Ps overnight. Readjust our levels. Looks like we have a nice gap up here. We will take a look at that in our homework, and we'll discuss what it is that we're going to expect, and you know, it certainly weighs into our hypotheses when we see that. So right now I'm just moving my value area low, value area high, VPOC to coincide. Oh, shoot. I'm moving to the wrong lines. Sorry. So we need to coincide with Friday's value area low, value area high, and VPOC. Okay. But overnight low, overnight high are way up here. When is this? There we go. That's overnight VPOC. So we are in a pretty good gap here. We have the high from Friday at 23.53. And we are currently trading at 23.75. We have a 22-point gap. That's pretty good. Let's go over to our homework chart and see what we're going to do with that information. So first things first, let's just take a look. So here we have a level that we are going to keep on the chart. We tested through it from above. We broke through it. But as we tried to test it from below, we were never able to break above it and close. So we're going to leave this swing on here. We are also going to put on Friday's high and low. So copy, paste. That's the high. And that's the low. Yeah, you silly monster. Okay, let's squeeze this down a little. Really? That's cray. So we are going to move over this microcomposite to include Friday's trading, since it certainly stayed within the range. In fact, we were pretty much hovering in the meaty part of the value area. And I believe I said we're trading at 70, okay, 75. So we need to, so you could see where Friday's close was, and you can see where we are currently trading now. 75. We are way at the very top of this microcomposite. Oh man, that's kind of tough right now because the other microcomposite I'm interested in. Let me scrunch this up for a second. And that's one hell of a push overnight. We go back to here, but that's okay. Actually, there's really everything I need from this microcomposite. I have my microcomposite VPOC here. And everything else, it's really just a few days there. All right, so what's the all-time high here? 23.97 quarter, a little higher than that. 23.98. Okay. All right, 23.75. Now, if you guys remember, if we are to make a push towards the all-time high, and we start breaking it in the next few days, I do not even consider any short positions when we get up there, when we get above there especially, but we will talk about that if and when we get there. I mean, it's only a matter of time before we're touching all-time high. All right, 22.75. So we are opening right at a, what's going on with that? Okay. So we are opening right around here. And we are going to look for hypo 1 being a test of overnight high, hold, turn back down, and ultimately make our way through overnight VPOC into overnight low. And we're going to want to see if we can't get our way all the way down to this value area low here, value area high, and see if that can hold. I think if this can hold, I think that we're going to be building up steam for our next big push. We're going to call this hypo 1. Hypo 2 is going to be a push down, find support, overnight VPOC, this former microcomposite VPOC, or overnight low, and turn up and get us through overnight high, pushing us up into some of these previous swings. And then in all honesty, I would much rather be long than short. I would just be looking to buy pullbacks, and I'd place targets at every single level as we climb this naked VPOC, even this naked value area high here, which is right near the all-time high. So once we get above overnight high, and you see this high volume note here, once we get above that, it's really low volume. So I would just expect it to start pushing. So we're going to call that Hypo 2. Hypo 3 is going to be very similar to this with one main exception. Hypo 3 is going to be where we don't come down to test first. Open, get away from the gap, test overnight high, have it hold, and push. The other thing we will be watching is if we do start. So this is a very basic hypo. That's not a well drawn out one, but just to give you the idea that we don't have to come down first to test. We can open and push up. If we do start making our way down, we do have, of course, the gap that we could fill, which would basically coincide with Friday's VPOC. So we will pay attention to that as well. But the general rule is the larger the gap, the harder it is to fill. That doesn't mean we don't make an attempt to. That doesn't mean that we don't close half of it or a third or any of the Fibonacci ratios. But with the gap this size, usually days like this where we open outside of the prior day's value, outside of the prior day's range, especially, these are days that set up for potentially larger moves. So we'll have to keep our eyes open for that. Okay, let's see. What's left for me to do this morning? I think we got everything ready to go. Let me see what time it is. That's wrong. Hang on. Let's go for the very... Okay, we got about 10 minutes. I'll pause the video and I will be back before the open. All right, I just wanted to pick up the recording here. We have about 6 minutes to the open, but I just noticed that oil is continuing to push down, create new lows. So I thought we might start paying attention here. We are currently sitting at Friday's VPOC, as denoted by that big red dotted line. So let's take a look. We see our BBs are all pointing down. Oh, sorry. There we go. We see our BBs are all pointing down. Nothing to give us any expectation of a bounce here or to look for a long here just yet. So at this point, we're still going to be looking. We're going to start watching for pullbacks into potential short opportunities. The fact that we are opening at Friday's VPOC, also remember, could lend itself to choppy trade. Let's see what that, if that is the case when we get to the open. But we are continuing to test lower here. There isn't any news releases this morning to set off a move. Not that you need one. I mean, the market can do whatever it wants to, whenever it wants to. But you can see here we've now come back, and this is the low of the overnight session. Overnight session beginning right here. This vertical line. Again, my pen's not working. Sorry, 1 second, guys. So this vertical line here is the low, the start of the overnight session. You can see the entire overnight session. This line here, if I were to draw this over to the left, that's not bad, not bad. Good horizontal line. You can see all of the trading happen above it up until this very last minute or so. So we've come all the way back now to where we closed on Friday at Friday's VPOC and the current overnight low. So we're going to wait to see. What I'd love to see here is maybe a bounce away from this. So let's draw it out a little. Maybe a bounce away, a little consolidation, pull back with a test, and make our move up, while at the same time the BBs turn up and then don't quite get back as low, giving us some divergence. For those who may or may not be listening that do not understand that terminology, don't worry. You will. And remember, you don't, as some of you have heard in the earlier times we've done this, terminology is one of the most important things when it comes to learning how to trade. And I actually find it amazing that some of these people that go out and sell trading education don't spend more time on the terminology, to be sure that they're the people that they're trying to explain things to understand them. I'm just going to make a quick change on some of my settings here. Hopefully we don't freeze up too bad. Okay, that was good. That was nice and quick. Thank you, NinjaTrader. We don't always get that type of cooperation. Same thing on the S&P. Okay. So there's our bounce away from the low. Now the second part of what I drew is I'd like to see some consolidation here before making a move back down towards the current overnight low. And with that come a setup of divergence in the BB. So for now, we'll just continue to wait and watch. S&P for from overnight. Let's see here. Let's scrunch this up a little bit. So this is the overnight session for the S&P, and we've had a monstrous move up. There was a huge gap up from Friday's trading. If I scroll this here, come on now. This here where my cursor is now horizontally, that's the high from Friday. That's the low from overnight right here. All this area is the gap, even higher technically. The gap is from the current trading price, but we have a nice large gap there, so we are certainly going to want to be paying attention to what happens on the S&P at the open. Let's what do we have? We have about 40 seconds to the open here in oil. Let's see what we get. Now, another setup that certainly I would be interested in with oil is a stronger push up, giving us an opportunity to get a short. We have this last consolidation here and one above it here that we'd be watching for. But let's see what happens here at the open. Okay, so there's our push down at overnight low. No real positive divergence on the BB, so we're going to hold off on just jumping in. So right now, definitely the mindset is I want to see overnight low, want to see if overnight low holds, and look for potential short opportunities on a pullback. I will be paying attention to order flow. If we really aren't getting pullbacks and we keep bumping our head, I will be watching order flow, looking for some other potential obvious sign that it's a good time to try to go short. That can change. Remember, all this can change in an instant based on the BBs, based on order flow. But right now, it's going to take something pretty special to make us want to try to go along with the way things are setting up right now. So here again, we have our open, and we pretty much went straight down from the open. Not that it's been a huge move, although it's not bad. 18 ticks is what's showing me. 16 from this swing high. So just kind of wait and see. I mean, it looks like right now we are still trying to push lower. No real good trade setup here. So just got to be patient and watch. Some large sell orders going off right here towards low of day and being responded to by some large buy orders. Remember, the numbers that we see over here in these green backgrounds and these red backgrounds, the green background numbers are the number of orders resting on the bid. And as price goes lower, those are how many people are currently in position waiting to buy. The red background colors are a number of orders resting on the offer or the ask. And if price goes higher, those are the number of people waiting to sell. Those people can change their mind at any time. So when you see these numbers change, it's not necessarily because a trade went off. It could just be that they decided that they no longer want to sell and they move away. What you see on my chart, these green background and red background colors, are actual trades that went off with some decent size. So when I say a trade went off, I'm referring to these, not to the resting orders on the bid or the offer, or what's called the depth of market. So we just had a push back up off the low, coming to test Friday's VPOC, current middle of day, Friday's close. A lot of things happening up here. It might be a little bit too early for trying to take a short here, but there are a lot of levels there that are of interest for us. If it turns from there, there's really not much that I could do. It would be a little bit hyper aggressive on my part to be jumping into that trade. So overnight low at this point has still held a support. We have never really pushed away from it. We did get below it, but we really didn't make a strong push away. And as you can see right now, we're still just sitting here and testing. Remember, we talked that if we're opening right around VPOC, that it's not surprising to have a choppy open. But we'd like to see a bit more of, if we're looking for this to get further down, a bit more of an emphatic push down away from overnight low. And then we'd start looking for our retests with an attempt to go long. I'm sorry, an attempt to go short. BBs on the 610 down here have turned up. 987 have turned up. 1597 have not. So we are paying attention to that as well. If we can get nice positive divergence in those BBs, and we can continue to hover around this overnight low, we might shift our idea into looking for a quick long, maybe a scalp opportunity. But right now there's nothing doing. So this is where we have to be very careful, and by we I mean me, not to overtrade, not to force myself into a position. Just kind of got to let oil tell us what it wants to do. Still have about 24 minutes to the open of the equities, the S&P. Just kind of stuck here. And very conflicting information now. So of course we had the push right at the open, the push down. We've slowed down there, but certainly we are showing more weakness than strength in terms of the chart. The BBs, however, have turned up and potentially are going to show some positive divergence if we come and retest the low. But none of those, I mean, if you force me to guess, not that I'm trading on this guess, I'd say we look like we want to go down more than we want to go up, but nothing with nearly enough information to actually want us to take a trade. Excuse me. Really nothing doing. Very slow, very slow open. Let's see if we can't break overnight low here. We do have slight positive divergence on the BBs on the 610 and the 987. Definitely not enough to be looking for a long down here. Let's see if we can't get a pullback into this consolidation to look for a potential short, but even even now, it's still no real great trade setup here. One of the things that, at least for me, that I've learned and need to learn better is just because a move has happened doesn't mean that there was a trade to be had, at least for what I'm looking for. There are people far better than I am at trading that probably spotted that move before it happened, and for me, it's just not something that I would have seen, or I should say, not something that I would have been wanting to take a risk on. Yeah. So another little bounce up here. We're not really getting great bounces for short opportunities. That's kind of what's happening. For anyone that has watched any of these videos or been on with me, this stair step action where it's under 10, 12 ticks on the pullbacks, I tend to stay away from. So still watching for a pullback, looking for some short opportunities. Now, you'll notice the 610 BBs, they have started to really form a nice positive divergence. The 987 have not, but I'd like to see that coincide. That would potentially give us some talk for a long opportunity. But we did get through overnight low. We now have traded away from overnight low. I'd love to see a retest back up here. VWAP, middle of the day, overnight low, Friday's VPOC. This whole congested area here of our levels. I'd love to see a pullback into there and see if we can't get a short setup. Now, once again, if we take a look at the current range from the open, 49.71 is high, 49.49 is low. It's 22 ticks. That's not bad, but keep in mind, this initial push here, this initial push down, and we bounce from there, this is really the range that we've had. Okay, and we're talking about, let me see, 63 to 49, 14 ticks. And again, a majority of those ticks just happened in a really quick flush down and a push back up. So there really hasn't been a good range to trade here this morning. And probably the best thing we've done is sit on our hands and stay out of the way. Okay. So what do we got till about 15 minutes left till the S&P opens. So right there, a large sell went off. A sell of 35 contracts just went off there. You notice I have not yet even once started discussing order flow because there has not been any place that I was looking to get into a trade. If we focus on order flow the entire time, we will drive ourselves crazy. Sometimes when we have the chance, sometimes I do just start talking about it just to kind of describe it, see if I can't get you guys comfortable with reading what's happening on the highest bid, the lowest ask. That's referred to as the inside market. Seeing if you could kind of watch the inside market, watch those numbers change. But right now, as little as there is going on in price action, reading the order flow would really just be probably more confusing than anything else for you guys. Now we do have a couple of large offers up here, 192 and 169. So the 192 just disappeared, but I don't know if it was actually traded. It could have just disappeared if somebody canceled their order. Again, positive divergence on the 610, starting to get a more obvious positive divergence on the 987. Might start considering grabbing a long down here. I just don't like how we've come below the overnight low and stayed there. Let me bring back in my homework chart. Remember, we're currently trading here in this red candle, in this bearish candle here. Here's value area low from Friday. It's not out of the realm of possibility to see us want to come down and test this value area low. So I do like potentially the idea of a long. Sorry, guys, let me check something. Okay. I do like the idea of a long with this divergence that we were just getting, which I'll bring back up here and show you. So we have the very clear divergence in the 610, not in the 987, not in the 1597. So since it's only one of the three, we're not going to take a long trade here just yet. We're trading at the low. Okay, there you go. See, there again, just not enough of a pullback for us to get into a decent short trade. That's a nice push right there. This is a nice move. Here's value area low and the low of day from Friday. So those are still right now in our sights. Let's see if we can't get a decent pullback. See, once again, we get 5-6 ticks pullback and then we just stop. And the problem with that, the reason I'm not taking short trades there is because if I get into a short and this holds now as the low of day, I only have 5 ticks that the price can even go before we need to push through low day. I do like the idea of price ultimately coming down towards low from Friday, value area low from Friday. But as much as I like that, I still need my trade to have proper risk to reward from my entry. So far we've bounced 7 ticks from the low. Remember, our first profit target we try to keep at 10 ticks. So at least I need that much, but I'd like more than that. So there are 8 ticks, a tick bounce up from the low. And let's see if we make another run at the low here. So wouldn't be surprised to see pretty much exactly what we see here, where we had a push down, come up, consolidate, and make our next push down. Now, what we would be looking for in a case like that, I'm not all that interested in going long until we either test down here or something very, very obvious sets itself up. But, we're basically looking for the next leg on this kind of move. We see here we had a push down, consolidated, push down. Right now we're consolidating, and we're going to see if we can't push through the current low of the day. Excuse me. About 7 minutes till the equities open. We see a big bid down here of 170, 163 contracts now. So you see that bid is shrinking. We haven't even touched it. There we just traded into it, but they added on size now. No strong positive divergence yet on the BBs, so we are not looking for longs at this point. Large trade just went off right as we came into the low. So far, low of day has held. Buyers have been able to stop from pushing through, but I don't think that's going to last all that much longer. That was actually nice right there, how the buyers stepped in. But not a trade for me. No positive divergence. This looks more along the lines of a sellers catching their breath before starting to push down further. And I'm saying that because of the BBs, not because I have like a magic 8 ball. Just that these BBs here we see still very much pointing downwards. We did get a bounce here, but the 610 is the chart that responds the fastest. So this little bounce here, without it being coincided with the 987 and the 1597, or at least one of those two, I would still hold off on trying to get long here. When we did our homework on the S&P, if you remember, we were trading at 75. So we've pulled back a bit. We got back down to the 69.50 area. Still a very large gap. Still a very large gap as compared to where we closed on Friday. Let's see here what happens on oil. another push here towards the low. Let's see if the sellers are able to actually get down and get towards this value area low and Friday's low here. Buyers are continuing to hold this current low of day, this 49.36. Okay, there's your break. Some buyers got excited right there. I'm not sure what triggered that. I don't see anything. I don't see anything on the chart to be to react the way they just did, but that doesn't make me right. Now some sellers stepped in at the low. More buying right as we break the low. That's very interesting to me. So we have a couple of large bids here. That's expected. But to see the large order come through right as we break the low, I just don't. Again, that's not to say they're going to be wrong. It's just not something that I quite understand. We are continuing to watch for pullbacks, looking for an opportunity to get short, with ultimately the idea being that we make our way down towards this 49, 20, 21 area. Let's see what kind of pullback we get here. So we've only been seeing 6, 7, 8 tick pullbacks. We're at 6 now. There's 7. We've had a 7 tick pullback so far. And again, we need to also be paying attention to these BBs. The 610, once again, are reading with positive divergence, but only the 610. 987 has turned up, but they have not really has not really solidified and formed as positive divergence. There's our 9 tick pullback. Just about a minute to the open in the S&P. Excuse me. All right, 10 tick pullback so far off the low in oil. Some large offers just stepped in. Let's see. All right, watching both sides now, watching oil and the S&P. Oil continuing to bounce off here. I am watching for a decent short setup. Oh. I'm going to pause this so I can answer this phone call. 1 second. All right, so far we've gotten about a 15 tick pullback in oil. I did not have a chance to see the order flow up there. There was a Wi-Fi emergency, but okay, no big deal. So S&P open, small push up, but turn back down. Remember, we have the big gap up here in the S&P. Now you can take a look. You can see how on the BBs down here, the 610 really strong push up. 987 has made a push up, and the 1597 has slowly rolled up. I don't believe that that's enough to stop us from coming down and testing here, but it's a new piece of information. It's something we certainly need to pay attention to. And in this pullback here in oil, can't say that I missed the trade here. I don't know that I would have seen it as it happened in real time. This little bounce back up, that is one of the things we were looking for, not necessarily the only thing. So there's a strong push back down towards the current low of day here in oil, and the S&P has started making its way down. So here again in oil, we do have positive divergence on the 610. It looks like we would have positive divergence on the 97. I am going to start paying more attention for a potential long here in oil. Let's get that back. Okay. The S&P, the BBs really show downward strength. I'd love to see a bit of a higher push here in the S&P and see if we can't get a short setup. Here's our next push up in oil. What I'm looking for is any obvious step in of sellers holding price from going up. That was a nice one there. The current low of day has become a bit more of a concern for me than it had been up until now because of how the BBs have rounded up there. S&P, it looks like it might be setting up for a decent short. See, we opened, we came straight down. We've never really tried to push to get up towards overnight high. And with such a large gap up, my mentality has always been if we don't continue to go in the direction of the gap, which in this case would be heading higher, then we're going to fairly become a little more confident in that we're going to try to close some of that gap. Here, oil is starting to find a little bit of a stalemate here. The BBs are definitely starting to set up for positive divergence. I'd like to see if we get a push down and maybe set up a potential long there here on crude. S&P has opened exactly the same way oil did. We opened, we pushed down, we had a little pullback, and we pushed down again. And my expectation right now for S&P is that we are going to get through this low and see if we can't find the next level down. An overnight low definitely is in play, in my opinion. Just want a better trade entry opportunity. See a large trade just went off here in the S&P. And large trades in the S&P have different parameters than large trades in oil. You'll see large trades in oil will be anything 20 contracts or greater. S&P is 250 contracts. As you can see how many more contracts there are at every level here in this red and green background, the depth of market. You know, all the greens, I went over it before, but I don't know. I don't remember who was on here, who was not. So just to everything that has the red background in this ladder here, those are all the prices on the ask or the offer. As we get further and further up, you see how many contracts are at each level. On the bid side, as we go further and further down, you see how many contracts are at each level wanting to buy. You can see how much larger these numbers are here on S&P as opposed to oil. S&P pushed down through that low. So I'm watching both of these right now for a potential short, oil and the S&P. Oil has firmed up pretty well down here, so I'm going to need to see some type of order flow. I'm going to need to see sellers hold their ground in order to take a short here, because right now oil has definitely set itself up for a potential bigger pullback. So I don't just want to jump on in there. S&P, on the other hand, actually does read a little bit better right now for a potential short. Fortunately, I got to pick one or the other right now because it's going to be awful hard to watch them both. So I'm currently watching oil. Big buy order here, but didn't really do anything. Didn't get price to break. We have the VWAP right above us. I am going to take a short here. And we're going to be willing to scale in, where are we from 43? Okay. So we're going to want to see if we can't make a run towards low of day at some point now with oil. The BBs really are not in my favor here. Let's see if order flow can't straighten itself out. I'm watching the S&P now because I am definitely looking for a short here. Let's see if we get an obvious sign of buyers drying up or sellers stepping in. So far, no. So far, the buyers are continue to come in here on the S&P. So we're going to hold off and wait for our trade. Right there's more buying. All right, so I'm going to take a short here. Oh, looks like I might have missed it. Okay, so got away, moved a little bit away from us. Let's give it one more chance to set up. All right, that's what I should get. Really? Okay, so we'll take our first short here. And we're going to be willing to add on to our trade. Okay. Oil has done nothing since we've got into it, so there's really not much for us to do there. So I'm looking for the S&P to kind of follow suit with what oil did at its open. Leg down, take a breather. Another leg down, take a breather. So S&P, we took a leg down, took a breather. Leg down, took a breather. I'm hoping this is the breather before the next leg down. And we're going to move our profit target just above overnight low. Since we only have one contract. Had I had more than one contract, I would be looking for 8-tick profit target on the S&P for that one. If I had more than one, and then I would be moving my second one down to where this is. But since I only have one, and I'll manage the trade if we do come down in this direction. I'll manage the trade, and potentially if I decide to close out earlier, I'll just do that with my keyboard. I won't mess around with the mouse. See, oil, on the other hand, the reason why I'm leaving my profit target where it is on oil is because of how much divergence. I'm going to give you a quick what divergence means. So if you take a look here at any of these charts down here, so you see how when price was coming lower here, at the same time, these dots on this chart, forget what those dots mean, those were coming higher. That's what's called positive divergence, where price is heading down, but some indicator, these are called indicators, while price is heading down, the indicators are heading up. So what that tells me is that there is a better chance now that if we continue to come down and we retest the low of day, that we're going to see a move back up. The indicator is showing a strength. So that is why I'm leaving my profit target here. I'm leaving my profit target here so that as we come closer towards the low of day, if we get to my profit target, I just want to close my trade. So let's see. And I'm also very much paying attention where I might close it even before then, although I'm not going to need to. All right, so that's it. I should be out of this trade. Hey. Not sure what happened there. So it looks like price got to my profit target, but never actually closed my trade. So we're currently sitting at a break-even stop loss here, which That would not make me all that happy. But that was exactly what it is we were protecting ourselves from. That's just a little bit of bad luck, also known as bullshit. But that's what we were watching for, was if we get down here with how strong this positive divergence is, that we want to close our trade. There's really nothing. I mean, that's just the luck of the draw there. As far as the trade goes, couldn't be happier. Timed our short about as well as we could have wanted to. Had our profit target about as good as we could have expected. Again, 8 out of 10 times that trade gets closed, so I have no problem with that ending at a break even. Then we start watching again. The way this just held down here, it definitely looks as if oil is going to try to make a push back up into some of recover some of the price action that's already happened. S&P has done next to nothing, which I'm actually not very happy about, because now, see, when we got into this trade on the S&P, this indicator was sloped downwards on all three of these boxes. So it was sloped downwards here, it was sloped downwards here, and it was sloped downwards here. However, now that we're in this trade and price has just consolidated, we see that those indicators have slowly started rolling up. Now, it's not enough to scare us out of our trade just yet, but if we see that happen and we see the indicators continue to roll up, especially if it happens on this third one here, we will have to start reconsidering the merits of this trade. Time is not our friend in this particular trade, the way this is bouncing around right now. So I should be getting into my second position here, but once again, price is coming to my order but not actually filling me. And let's head back over to oil. Oil has come back up again to test this area. We tested it before, it held. We tested it again, it held. This is the third time now. See here again, this is a little bit of bad luck. We had the price come up to where we should have gotten our second contract here, but it just didn't fill us. We should actually be in a better position now than we are. But again, it's just part of what happens. Unfortunately, I was paying a little bit more attention to S&P than oil. S&P is making its way down. Oil did give us another chance to get short. That's that one up there. No big deal. So now I'm watching the S&P. When we get to our 8-tick profit target, all right. So we are in at 69.5. 8 ticks is 67.5. When we're into this area here, I'm going to start watching to see if it makes sense to try to close the trade or leave our profit target where it is currently. So let's see here again, the way that these indicators have rolled up on the S&P, what's happened now is as price comes here, let's say price comes down there, we will see positive slope in this one. We will not see it in this one, and this will still be negative. So I'm still okay with where I have my profit target. This setup reads more likely to be able to make a push down through low of day than oil does right now. So I'm happy to be in the trade, but I'm more interested right now in this trade to really make a break for the low of day. That was nice. The seller stepped in nicely right there, but we need to see some more aggressive selling here. Right now, we're seeing sellers come in on the offer, but I want to see people start hitting the bid and getting price to drop just like that. But that's not enough. That looked pretty good right there, but I want to see follow through down to the downside. So again, a little bit of bad luck a couple of times so far. Really should have had a 10-tick profit target here on oil. Really should have been into a second contract on S&P, giving us an average entry price of 67, which puts our profit target at 68, which there is a chance we are already out of one of our two contracts. So couple of spots of bad luck, and that's exactly what it is. These numbers that I'm using here, like this 70-50 to scale in, that's just 1 point away from where I got in. There's no magic to that. So it's not that that was a level that, oh, I see why it turned there. It just did. So the BBs are still okay here on the S&P, but I think we're going to need to see this move happen fairly quickly, or else they are going to roll up further and make us have to reconsider where we have our profit target for this one contract. In the meantime, watching here on oil, going to be paying attention for a potential long here as we pull down towards current low of day. BBs definitely have real obvious positive divergence. I do still like the idea, however, that we ultimately test this value area low, but I am definitely watching for areas where buyers step in here looking for a long for now. Big offer just came down. See here again on the S&P, this would have been our third chance to get filled on the contract we really should have had from up here. Let's see if buyers can't step in here on oil. Now with some big offers came in. Let's see if buyers start taking those offers and stacking up the bid, or if we still see pressure coming to the downside. I'm still watching for a long here. I'm going to take a long here, and I'm going to be willing to scale. If we push down. I'm actually not thrilled about what's happening on the S&P right now. I'm considering closing my trade on the S&P right now. Let me just see. Let's watch a little bit of this order flow here. The longer the S&P stays in this consolidation, the worse it is for my trade. I'd like, if it's going to consolidate, I'd just like it to drift a little bit lower. Give the BBs a chance to roll down more, not continue to roll up the way that they have been. So I'm watching this order flow here. The bids on the S&P are continuing to refresh. They're continuing to add size. I'd like to see them go away. Okay. Nope. Came right back up. Really not digging the S&P trade just right now. Pum 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 pum. Okay, oil's making its way up. Let's see if we can't get through that 21 EMA. So we have oil has not really pushed up away from the current low of day. I very much liked the positive divergence that has formed in oil at the low of day. I am willing to scale because I believe we would still show divergence all the way down to Friday's low. S&P, the 1597 BBs have absolutely turned upwards. The 2584 and the 4181 have not. So I'm very, very conflicted right now on the S&P. But at this point, I unfortunately do have to run. I will leave my trades on. I have everything in place for either direction that we may go in. So this is where it will stay. All right. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. If not, I will see you tomorrow.